Donkey Kong Bananza is the next pillar release for Nintendo's Switch 2 after the day one Mario Kart World. For a lot of Nintendo fans, this is the game they've been waiting for, as it's building off the lineage of Nintendo's prestigious 3D platforming games. Produced by the director of Super Mario Odyssey, one of the best games on Nintendo Switch, expectations have been very high for Donkey Kong's return to 3D gaming, and a lot of pressure has been put on this release to really convince people of the need for the Switch 2. Well, reviews are in, they are glowing, and it seems like Nintendo is once again championing a 3D platformer in year one of a new piece of Nintendo hardware. You could say people are going bananas for this one. Over on OpenCritic, as of embargo day, July 16th, the game is sitting at a coveted 91 with a mighty score, 100% recommended by critics. Compared to the last game from this development team, Super Mario Odyssey, which sits at a 97, Donkey Kong Bananza is absolutely a must-play for Nintendo's new platform, just like Super Mario Odyssey was back in 2017 for the original Switch. But let's rewind a little bit. What is Donkey Kong Bananza? Well, DK's return to 3D platforming is met with a destructive twist. This is not just Mario Odyssey, but with Donkey Kong. Players control a revised version of Donkey Kong as he teams up with a teenage version of Pauline, the iconic songstress and future mayor of New Donk City. After falling to the depths of the planet, DK helps Pauline find her way home by punching, digging, smashing, and climbing through rubble, gems, and treasures, all while trying to escape a dastardly crew of villains. It is a simple enough premise. It is essentially just taking the appeal of collectathon platformers like a Super Mario Odyssey and mixing in a gameplay hook straight out of the PS2 classic, Hulk Ultimate Destruction, making for a fantastic adventure. And what some are calling, bear with me, Red Faction Gorilla. It's novel, fun, and it is clearly connecting with the first wave of reviewers. So let's take a look at what some critics have to say so far. Logan Plant at IGN gave the game a big old 10 out of 10, saying, quote, Donkey Kong Bananza is a truly groundbreaking 3D platformer with satisfying movement, powerful abilities, impressive destructible environments, and clever challenges that all come together in complete harmony to create Nintendo's first Switch 2 masterpiece, end quote. High praise, but I am sure there are plenty of Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour defenders that would say otherwise. GameSpot has given the game a 9 out of 10, and over on the quote-unquote lower end of scores, both Eurogamer and Video Games Chronicle have handed out a 4 out of 5 star rating, with Eurogamer's Alex Donaldson stating, quote, a brilliant core mechanic and clever design twists makes Bananza a delightfully sticky 3D platform adventure, topped off with a sweet central character relationship, end quote. Famitsu has given the game a 9, a 10, another 10, and another 9, totaling 38 out of 40, with some of their key takeaways noting that it's straightforward to complete the main story, challenge levels provide the difficulty many players look for in Donkey Kong titles, and destruction abilities are fun, and the production value only adds to that. But the story isn't very strong. A story that ahead of time was already compared to Wreck-It Ralph, and I'm sure you can see why, ends up landing a bit middling for some. But if you're like me, you're not going to this game for its narrative chops, you are here to see Big Monkey hit thing. Oh, banana. But the story being a bit weak is not the only trend we have seen in the reviews so far that is a bit critical or negative. Chris Cruz over at Rolling Stone took to Blue Sky to highlight something that he feels will become a talking point in regard to the Switch 2 through the lens of Donkey Kong: its performance. Quote, one thing I do want to note that's going to be talked about is how much the frame rate drops impact #Donkey Kong Bananza. I barely noticed it at first, but the final boss was choppy. We're talking Breath of the Wild Lost Woods level of slowdown, end quote. Digital Foundry has also posted their technical breakdown of the game. Thankfully, it seems the title is able to maintain 60 FPS fairly well outside of a few choice animations or camera cuts where things dip for a moment or long enough to distract some players. Otherwise, it seems Donkey Kong Bananza is really another instance of Nintendo pushing their creativity to the max. Rather than taking the safe approach of a Super Mario Odyssey 2 or an iterative sequel, as we've seen time and time again from several of the big players in the games industry this past generation, Donkey Kong Bananza instead takes big swings and pushes the Switch 2 to its creative and destructible limits. As a big fan of Donkey Kong myself, repping Funky today, and a Donkey Kong 64 defender, I am very excited and cannot wait to dive into the game immediately when it unlocks on my Nintendo Switch 2 later. Having a new high production and creative take on a 3D platforming Donkey Kong is something that I really only ever dreamed of, and seeing it be this creative and landing this well with so many people likely going to be ending up on some Game of the Year shortlists is incredibly reassuring. But what do you think of Donkey Kong Bananza's review scores so far? Is this swaying you one way or the other? Has it given you the final push you have needed to try and hunt down a Nintendo Switch 2? Or are you kind of bummed to see that this is not just a straightforward follow-up to Mario Odyssey? Whatever the case, let us know what you think of these review scores so far, and once you pick up the game, be sure to come back to this video and leave your review so everybody else can chime in and see what the players think. Or better yet, you can head on over to GameRant.com and log your review on the GameRant database, as well as keep track of your backlog, because I know you have one. For now, thank you so much for tuning in, and for more on the latest in gaming, you can stay tuned to GameRant.